Okay, so I just hit the record button. We should be live. Good afternoon, everyone. As you know, my name is Louis. Welcome to Boston Virtual Career Chats. We are super excited to continue these virtual sessions for you. If you're a student joining and listening, welcome. You are in for a treat. As you know, we are here today to talk about career pathways into the STEM fields. So if you're interested or even looking into planning about how do I, transform my career in the future, listen closely. Today, we're here to learn about this engineering career from someone who works in a company that's fairly new to the Boston family. Believe it or not, they're coming from the NASA space. So we're here to hear about his STEM pathway and all the exciting things happening at NASA. So without further ado, I'm happy to introduce Benny Prats. Benny, welcome. Please introduce yourself. Let us know what you do at NASA and who you are.
Yes, my name is Benny Prats, and I'm an engineer at NASA, and I work on quite a few projects at NASA. I have been working there for a while. I was born in Cuba, so my original language was Spanish, so I can easily translate everything from Spanish to English. And right now, I'm working on a project which is a rover, which is on Mars, and so that's pretty exciting. And in the past, I've worked on projects that involved like the space shuttle, where the space shuttle caught the Hubble Space Telescope and we serviced it. So the engineers are able to, and the astronauts together are able to service telescopes in space. And I have quite a lot of information on how do you put a telescope in space, how do you service it, how do you put a rover on Mars, and how do you operate the rover on Mars. So that's what I do.
Very, very exciting. So Benny, tell us a little bit more. What was it like growing up? Did you know that you were going to do this work and actually work at NASA?
Yes, I did. I knew from when I was very little, like in the first grade, second grade, third grade, I used to love airplanes. And I used to love parachutes, throwing parachutes into the air, watching them float down. So I did know that I was going to do this. I'm very young.
That is very awesome. So students, if you're listening and you're inspired about, working at NASA, it's definitely a possibility, and we're here to learn more. So feel free to kind of chime in if you have questions during the chat here. I do see one question here for you, Benny. Can you explain more about your rover project? What is that about?
Well, the rover it's a six-wheeled rover. It's about the size of a Mini Cooper, so it's big like a car. And in the year 2012, it landed on Mars. So before that, we were working and developing the rover. And every day I would put on my bunny suit. I would put on my mask and cover my hair and wear a bunny suit. It was a white protective suit. And I would go in and work on the instrument. And I would, develop the heaters and tune them up and all that. So it's a very interesting project. Right now, we're getting data from Mars. Like this morning, I collected data from Mars, which is like temperature and voltages. And we're looking to make sure that the rover's in good shape on Mars.
Very, very exciting. So Benny, tell us more about your academics. This is definitely an ambitious goal to have as a young child listening in middle school and high school. How can they kind of connect the steps? And, what was your experience like? What were some key, experiences or opportunities that you felt kind of projected you into the NASA field?
Well, I guess I was interested in mathematics and science. And I'm sure there's a lot of students out there interested in science because they can see, how interesting it is to put things together and watch things happen according to physics, according to physical laws. So that's what I was excited in. And I didn't like the computer side too much, and it's hard to get in computers, but some people like computers a lot. I like to do experiments. And in college, eventually in high school, I did some experiments in a wind tunnel. And then in college, I did experiments in a bigger lab, and we would make sure that everything was safe. And then we did a procedure and saw how things worked on an airplane or in a spacecraft in space or in the air. So all that got me interested and got me through college, and I was able to get an aerospace engineering degree.
Very, very cool. So that hands-on component definitely was key. I know a lot of people learn that way as well. So thank you for highlighting that, Benny.
Yes.
Benny, were there any, challenging moments in in your experience? And if there were, what did you find to be supports, or were there people that you kind of leaned on, or kind of seek advice from? How can our middle school and high school students take that advice as well?
It's very interesting because when I was first out of college, it's like I just became an engineer and I went into work in a wind tunnel. And one of the first projects that I was leading, we made a mistake and we damaged a window. And this window is a $60,000 window. And so I
Oh,
went into my manager's office, and he said, Benny, now you are the most valuable person in here because you have learned from your mistake and you will never make the mistake. You'll be careful next time, you'll be looking at data and all that. So you have to learn from your mistakes. Even in school, if you make a mistake somewhere, you do bad on a test or something, you have to learn from that, because when you learn from that, then you become more valuable. So that's what I want to pass along. That's what my manager told me, and I want to pass that along.
very, very powerful. Students, that sounds familiar, right? We are in the season of tests. I know MCAS season isn't happening this year, but I know there's a lot of prep for that. So listening with Benny's experience to just learn from those mistakes is really, really powerful advice. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So we have a question here from Alexa. What inspired you or got you interested in space as a kid? I know you mentioned your interest in planes and parachutes, but space specifically, what sparked that?
Well, just looking at the stars, I mean, recently Mars was very visible. It's a little tiny red dot, but you can see it with your eye. You don't need a telescope because Mars is very close this particular year. And the stars and the moon and all that really got me interested. And when I was young, like the students right now, we were landing people on the moon, and I saw all that on black and white TV, and that inspired me. And I'm sure very recently, the students right now are going to see people going to the moon again, or maybe going to Mars, or any kind of launches. It seems like spaceships will become what airplanes are now in the near future.
Very, very cool. Yeah, just look around you, kids, right? There's inspiration all around. Very exciting. So let's listen more a little bit about the work culture at NASA. We have a question here. What is the work culture like at NASA, and how do scientists share their research? I know you mentioned putting on some special safety gear and working in a tunnel environment doing tests. What is it like to do all
Yes.
this at NASA?
Yes, like NASA is like half and half scientists and half engineers, and then there's a lot of, but it's not half and half. There's also technicians, people who are actually doing the physical work, and the engineers
Mm,
like instruct them how to do it. So there's a culture of, and then there's communicators, because we're not doing this for us. We're doing this for the students and the public. And so we have to communicate that. We have to build things, explore, do things, and then we have to communicate to the public. So there's a large team of communicators also. You don't have to be good at math. You don't have to be good at science. You just need to be a communicator. And that's the type of culture at NASA. We want to do, explore, and then communicate.
yeah, that definitely is a theme in the STEM community here. Our students are constantly working in teams, and I know with the virtual environment, it's changing both work culture for you, Benny, and for our students. So can you talk to us a little bit more about what that shift, right? How are you adjusting to not being in the office space, or if you are visiting the lab space, what is the difference now between being home and visiting the office?
Well, actually, I haven't been to the office space since March. So I'm lucky that right now, I can analyze data coming from Mars remotely, and then I can write procedures to have work done at NASA. I can write the procedures, and then the technicians go in and they do the work, and there's quality assurance folks who are standing around the technicians, and then they do reports, or they stop the work if something's wrong, and then we adjust our procedures. So all that is remote, and it it's interesting that half of the people go in and then half the people are home. So they're very cautious when they go into work, the half that goes into work.
Hmm, hmm. Yes, that's very similar to what our students are experiencing as well, right? They were in the classroom for a couple of weeks, and with the increase of cases happening, they have
Yeah.
since changed to remote back again. Yeah, yeah, a lot of challenges, but students, you were hearing, lots of key advice, right, to kind of stay vigilant and being aware of what's around us, because there's inspiration all around us. To practice and find those opportunities to really be hands-on. I know being at home, we probably feel limited, but there's tons of information available online and lots of resources around you, believe it or not, to just kind of tinker and learn as you're connecting, classroom experience and knowledge to real world problems. Benny,
Yes.
we're getting close to the end of our session here, and I want to hear more about, what it's like to kind of pursue these kind of experiences. Our students who are listening, as you know, come from, middle school age and high school age, and they're thinking about, college in the next couple of years, or just saying, oh, do I really want to, really take science or technology seriously? You hit a key point about, teamwork, where technicians are working with scientists and engineers. I love that you highlighted that, because our students who might be listening are having a mentality where they might be interested but don't see themselves fully as an engineer, and they might want to envision themselves in other capacities working in STEM fields. So you mentioned technicians, but what other sorts of opportunities might our students benefit from, especially at NASA, considering all the different avenues for STEM fields there?
Yes. So there's a lot of work at NASA. We have we're doing a lot of partnership with commercial industry, and the commercial industries build the parts, and then they supply them to NASA. And in fact, this Saturday there's going to be a launch out of Florida, and the launch is going up to the space station, and that's why I have my T-shirt on. This is the last
Oh,
launch.
nice.
Last launch was 2 astronauts, and this time they're launching 4 astronauts this coming Saturday. That's November 15th, right? And it's like a partnership. People, all kinds of people work on those projects. The people who load the fuel, the people who help the astronauts out, and so it's not just scientists and astronauts and engineers. It's the whole team, like you said. That's very important to have this team together.
Yeah. And, really interesting to hear that, these things are happening right before our eyes. It's just a matter of, again, being aware and really tapping into those opportunities. Would you mind sharing any links to that so our students can tune in at all?
Well, they can see that on NASA TV. So
Aha.
there's a NASA TV channel, and on Saturday, so it'll be Saturday at 7:49 p.m. Eastern time. So on the West
Okay.
Coast, it'll be a little bit earlier. So it'll be a little bit late at night. I don't know. We hopefully it'll get launched exactly at 7:49, and then everybody can see it. But they're going to go straight up to the space station, and there's 3 astronauts on the space station, and so the 4 astronauts will meet with the astronauts in the space station. And it's something that's exciting. It's coming right out of here, of the state of Florida.
Very, very exciting. Definitely be on the lookout for that. And the 15th is right at the end of the week, students. So if you want a treat for something to kind of cap off your week, definitely tune into that. We'll go ahead and add the link to NASA TV here
Yes.
once we wrap up our session here. Wow, what an experience right now. All right. So I'm looking into the chat box here, and Nat, of course, Alexa is being a rock star and sharing that link for us. So thank you, Alexa, for doing so. We're nearing our time here together, Benny, and I want to thank you just for your spending your time. I know that your schedule is probably really busy, so sharing your knowledge and your advice today is really helpful. As we close here, I just want to open up the floor to share maybe some last minute words or advice that you might have for students right now who are studying remotely and are finding this to be a challenge, or just general advice about how they themselves can continue to persevere.
Well, actually, when my first 2 years in college were very difficult for me,
Hmm.
uh, and I got through them somehow with my parent. I had my parents' help, but and my friends can help. It's sometimes it's challenging, but if when I repeated a class, I was able to get an A on it. So, but even if you fail the first time, uh, do your best and try to get through, especially getting that high school diploma and getting that college degree because look at me. I mean, I've worked on projects with the space shuttle. The commander of the space shuttle was asking me for advice which way to turn the space shuttle during a mission. So just stick with it, and you too can have a very good career and a very good life.
Very, very cool. Benny, thank you again for your very, very valuable perspective. Working at NASA is one in a million opportunity, I'm sure, but our students are getting that chance to listen here with your time. Thank you again for providing that for us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
A one-time chance to continue to hear about career opportunity pathways. These sessions will continue on for the rest of the school year, so pass the word along to your friends, your family members. We want everyone in the STEM community to continue to benefit. And educators, I want to thank you as well for passing along this information to your students and being ambassadors for the BoSTEM program. And of course to you, Benny, without you, this would not be possible. Thank you for your time again and for your wonderful advice. I cannot thank you enough for sharing what it's like to work at NASA. Any last closing words?
Just stay safe out there and be smart, be good, and take care of each other. You're all a team also.
Absolutely. And with that, I bid everyone a great afternoon. Have a fair and a happy one. All right. Take care now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.